2 irises in each eye. Last time I heard something like that was from that Chinese dude in Ripley's Believe It or Not. Princess Ahmed reminded me a whole lot of him, I'm just saying. So Tom Cruise has proven to be quite the charismatic action star over the years. From his antics in Edge of Tomorrow and his death-defying stunts in Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, getting tired of watching Tom Cruise running around and dodging explosions would prove to be a little difficult. But not so much with this bland, overstuffed reboot of The Mummy directed by Alex Kurtzman. I'm telling you, if there was a film this year that ideally embodied the definition of money grubbing, The Mummy would be it. So once upon a time, a princess named Ahmanat was the rightful successor to her pharaoh father, but was stripped of this birthright when her father's second wife gave birth to a son. Feeling betrayed, she makes a pact with the god of death Set, who gives her a dagger that would transform his spirit into a physical form following a sacrifice. Ahmanat's patricide leads to a sentencing of mummification and entombment for all eternity. Then in present-day Iraq, we've got a rogue US soldier named Nick Morton, played by Tom Cruise. And this guy's a thieving douchebag who sells plundered ancient artifacts to the highest bidder. When Nick and his partner Chris Vale come under attack by terrorists, the ensuing battle leads to the inadvertent unleashing of Ahmanat, who also marks Nick as her sacrificial mate. Obviously not too happy about that, Nick seeks the help of an archaeologist named Jenny, played by Annabelle Wallace, and Dr. Jekyll, played by Russell Crowe, who's the head of a mysterious monster studying organization named Prodigium. So a major issue I had with this film was its obvious desperation to set up the underpinnings for a wider Dark Universe franchise. The undermining effects of its repercussions are quite apparent, most definitely on the characters. The character setup was interesting enough as the cast was comprised of morally dubious individuals, but the two most important words that screenwriters and directors need to keep in mind when trying to convince moviegoers of their faulty characters' worth are these: nuance and time. To amplify depth, the boys on writing and directing duty need to ensure that their characters are handled delicately and given sufficient time to self-contemplate and develop. Instead, we're treated to a rather jumbled mess of well-staged but tiresome action sequences and unwieldy plot exposition. As a consequence, we only get to know these characters on an ostensible level, which means that character revelations feel labored, contrived, and solely intent on wrapping things up for the already greenlit sequel in a franchise that isn't looking so hot if this is its example of an inaugural entry. For crying out loud, the Mummy herself, Ahmanat, whom the entire plot of the film revolves around, felt like a goddamn prop. The screenplay fails to generate an ounce of sympathy for her plight. Besides a brief illustration of her betrayal during a piece of exposition explaining her backstory, the film's got nothing else going for her. She was a patricidal maniac hungry for power prior to her mummification, and now she's unleashing her evil onto the entire world for no discernible reason. And this renders her a typical, monochromatic, and bland villain that we've seen for the 11 billionth time. Tom Cruise's character was reasonably funny and entertaining, but to me he never really came off as anything more than a mendacious fraudster who would undertake a favorable action here and there because the script told him to. Russell Crowe's character is an interesting reimagining of the iconic Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, but to me he just felt shoehorned into the plot as there isn't enough time for a deeper exploration of his character. I mean, there is a chance we'll get to know more in the sequel, but there lies part of the problem. The Mummy is more set on existing as a foundation for sequels rather than a competent film of its own. The film wasn't all bad though. I enjoyed its earlier action sequences, I enjoyed some of the humor, and the performances were all pretty good. But its overstuffed plot and lack of characterization dealt a devastating blow. The Mummy ultimately came off as a rather bland mesh of ideas from superior sci-fi and horror flicks. It appeared unconcerned about competent storytelling and more intent on shoehorning and stitching things together in preparation for a money-grubbing sequel. If I were you, I'd give The Mummy a miss. So I'm gonna give The Mummy a 4. So these are my thoughts on The Mummy. What did you think of the film? Let me know in the comment section below. And if you like what I do, give me a like, hit that big subscribe button, stay tuned, and I will see you on the next one.